As a child, we all long for a hero. As a society as a whole, we search for that leader that can be our hero. But as we mature and as we grow, it dawned on us that the hero is inside every one of us. And in the world's social media, we all start at zero. And slowly we search deep within ourselves to find who we are. And we have that moment of truth where we embrace that the hero that we've been searching for has been there all along. It is living deep inside of every one of us. And we start embracing that journey and we become that hero that we search for.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Zero to Hero, presented by J29. We are on episode 101. We've had 100 fantastic episodes leading up to this point, but all of our guests have been either entrepreneurs or CEOs or presidents of corporations that are actively up and running. They're moving, they're shaking. What we haven't had on this show is somebody that can really explain how to get into business for yourself, how to gain that capital that you really need to get the business off the ground. Or maybe you already have the established business, but you need a little bit more, right? Or you're looking to offload the business, right? That's where our next guest comes in. Her name is Melicent Boysen. She is the owner of Boysen Companies and Initiatives Worldwide. So let's go ahead and bring her in. Melicent, how are you this morning?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm
Well,
pleased to be here. Appreciate the invitation.
Well, no, thank you for coming on the show and sharing some of your wealth of knowledge with our guests for sure. So before we get into it, tell people a little bit about what you guys do at Boysen Companies and Initiatives Worldwide.
Well, we're a business consulting firm or business advisory, it's called. I have two companies, actually. One I started many years ago, 40 years ago, doing business consulting. And then a second company I formed in the early 2000s called Initiatives Worldwide. And that one specializes in the commercialization of new innovations or new technologies. I got a contract at that time to be the 4-state regional director for NASA Technology Transfer Center. And so, of course, we'll call it marketing NASA technologies, and for looking for licensing their patents and that sort of thing. So I do a lot of specialization in commercialization, which is getting it to market. So really what I do is look at hundreds of startups, of course, I've evaluated. So startups, acquisitions, mergers, but new products, new innovations, whether they are services or what I call widgets, which are a product of some sort, or a technology, a platform, software, anything, and for diverse industries, and then how to get it to market. And it all takes capital. So really what I specialize in is capitalization and venture capital or equity funding, and how you get it, what you have to have. That's really my core specialty.
I love it. So yeah, speak on that a little bit. At what point should, somebody that owns a business or is thinking about starting a business, at what point should they come to you? Is that, kind of in the conceptual phase, kind of once they have the business plan? Talk on that a little bit.
It's usually in the conceptual stage, or they have created something. They've invented something. They've created something. They have, the latest, greatest of something that they want to know how to get capital. So a lot of it most everything starts right there. Is, where do I go? What do I have to have? And there are, of course, years and years of how to write a business plan and software. And then we also have Kansas City has a lot of several companies that have and nonprofit organizations that have specialized. Of course, the Kauffman Foundation for years has supported entrepreneurship. So we have a lot of entrepreneurial support in Kansas City that they don't have, in most places in the world, really. But it still comes down to, are they getting funded? Yes, they have a business plan, but are they getting funded? Because that's the bottom line. You can put together anything you want, but unless you can get the money, you aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
So that they come to me at those earlier stages, or when they've tried getting money, or they're already in business and they have a new product. So a lot of what I look at is, we're in business, this is what we're doing, but we aren't growing, or we've got a new product. The other thing I do is look at the current resources of companies and say, okay, you have all this equipment, but you're underutilizing it. So I may come up myself with an idea. I seem to come up with these innovative ideas myself as to how we could better utilize the resources you already have, whether it's your staff or your equipment or whatever it is. So it's all about how to improve or get more. And then that leads to, okay, we've got to have the money. So no matter what you do, you have to have more money. So that's the part where I come in, is focusing on how do you present that, and what can you do to get more money for what you're doing.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So let's kind of just run through a scenario, right? Let's say I have this great idea, right? As they all are. As you and I
Right.
both know, they're all phenomenal ideas. But let's say I have this great idea. I've yet to really start working on a business plan yet, but I know that I'm gonna need money for this great idea. I come to you, I knock on your door. What's that kind of process look like from that initial meeting to and I'm not asking you to run through the 6 month or a year, right, that it probably
No, no.
actually takes, right? But consolidate that for us. Kind of what's that process look like from, conceptual idea to now we're funded, we're ready to rock and roll.
Okay, so first, it would be to, what's your market? Obviously, I'm going to look at the product, listen to you talk about it. The first thing I'm going to say is, where's the competition? What are they doing? Well, so many entrepreneurs, they're like, oh, I don't have any competition. This has never been done before. It's the latest thing since sliced bread. And so, so we kind of start with that. And I'm like, okay, back up. Because if there isn't competition, which there probably is, but if there isn't, then there's going to be. The minute you launch it, the minute you put it on social media, you're going to have competition. And they may they may take your idea and make it and get it to market faster than you can. So you have to be prepared and cover all the bases to begin with. And so the first thing you have to do is really do the research and figure out where's your competition, which is looking at patents for one. Go to the US patent, look online, of course. Look at everything online. Now, of course, AI is new, chat is new, the GPT. And so those are incredible resources to just type something in about your concept or what you're doing and see what pops up. Now, we have only had that really a few months, it seems.
Yeah,
Although I'm
right.
using it a lot. It is the old original way, I've been doing it all these years, and you got to do the research, and you have to try to find what is out there. And so you must get over the idea that you you are the only one that has this. Now, you may be. I have had those situations, and that's wonderful. So then we move to, okay, how are you going to get it out into the marketplace? Obviously, what is that whole marketing plan? And then, of course, the whole, I'm going to call it production plan, and then the whole financial plan. And so we have to go through those pieces, the things that they'll say, well, they bring me their business plan. They've gotten it and created it and gotten it. Then I go through the business plan and look at, okay, what's missing? And so much of it is, again, identifying the competition. The other big factor is their financial projections. Are they realistic? And again, they haven't really, they're guessing. I mean, they want to, take the back of a napkin and say, okay, well, here's what we think the market is. They've identified where it would be placed in what industry. without most of the time identifying who the buyer is. So of course I'm saying, who's going to buy it, and what are they going to pay for it, and how much are they going to buy? And they're guessing. They're just
Right.
pulling these factors, percentages. Well, if the market's this, we should do 10%, and we'll take that, and if we do this, and this is what we'll make. It's like, oh no, that doesn't work like that. It has to be evidence based. It has to be, absolutely has to be, that they have done the homework and really know just, and once you can identify, again, let's say that there isn't a competitor, okay, but there's going to be as soon as you launch this. So then how are you going to compete? How prepared are you to compete? So it's that whole, I think, they come with a business plan, which I call the framework. And so then it's drilling down, because what's going to happen, I do due diligence. That's really what I'm known for. Strategy, developing strategy, and innovative, disruptive strategies. And then filling it in myself. So when I get retained to really do their project and help them get investment capital, it's all due diligence based, because that's what the investors are going to do. They're going to do that due diligence. So, if you haven't done it, they're going to see that you haven't done it. You don't really know it.
Yeah. And how much do you care if you haven't done it, right? I think that's kind of the the trigger, right, for investors is how passionate are you, right, about what you're doing if you're not willing to go out and do that research, especially with all of the tools that are available to really cut that research time down, if not in half. So yeah, no, that's fantastic stuff. So I want to dive in a little bit here to the meat of the show, Melicent. So I'm going to ask you to put what you've done for the last 40 years aside professionally. And I'm going to ask you, who is Melicent Boysen? Tell us who you are. What's your elevator pitch?
Well, my elevator pitch really is just, I pretty much, obviously I work very long hours and am very committed to what I do. I have passions for my work and for things that I'm doing. I also took a number of years out and have done a lot of nonprofit work. I've served on a number of boards in the city, and I founded a couple of organizations, co-founded one for women, that battered women, and shelters and that sort of thing. And then I co-founded a youth organization, or I founded it, co-founded the one. I founded a youth organization that I was really the director of for 20 years. And so along with my other work, so and we had over 50 volunteers at all times, tutoring and mentoring children. So I have my passions that I have done and I continue to do, which my biggest one is youth and underprivileged youth. And so, but overall, my life is really devoted to my work, and I have 3 children that I've raised. I was widowed at 29 and had 3 little children. And so my whole life really is just devoted to my business and my children and raising them. They're all 3 own their own companies and have been very successful and are successful. And so it's really, I have a very basic life, I guess you might call it.
I don't know if I go quite that far, but I mean, obviously, you know what you're doing. You've got kids that have gone out and started their own business. I'm sure, you weren't silent during those processes,
No.
if anything helped quite a bit. So, proven track record, right? I mean, it's within your own family, which is absolutely incredible. And thank you for the work that you do, not only with the youth, but with domestic violence shelters. That's absolutely necessary here. I mean, that's unfortunately, right? But it is necessary. So thank you for all of that work.
Thank you. And it was at the time, it needed to happen. So we didn't have a shelter here. We didn't have a program here. It was the first program. So I've done a lot of things like that, just where you see a need. And but I put the same kind of passion into representing my clients, and what they've done, and what they are making, what they've created. I mean, I'm very passionate about that. And so I definitely am committed and involved in trying to help entrepreneurs and starting businesses. And I, personally, even the success of, I've always owned my own company. I mean, I worked my way through high school at a retail store, but I haven't been hired since.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I got into business right away after my husband died. I got a job with a business management consultant, and I learned all about business and being a consultant. And I learned what makes a company successful and what makes those that fail, and what are the characteristics of success. And of course, strong financial background. And so, and that's a big area that investors, once again, things that just have to be, it's the due diligence. It's putting all of that into it. So I've been fortunate to, just have a way of knowing. And I learned very early on, what makes success for companies and how they can grow and how to get money. I traveled for years and years and years, going all over the country and the world, getting investment capital. Another thing investors certainly here need to broaden, their scope of looking for investment firms that are specifically investing in the type of thing that they have and what they're doing. There's no point in calling on firms that aren't in that sector. I mean, because oh yes. So the statistics, I was going to give you that, is that the investment overall in the United States, venture capital in the first half of this year is down 46%, with the highs being in 2021. The private equity is down 30% of them investing. And globally, we have the lowest deal volume since 2016 right now. And so, but there are trillions of dollars of capital. Globally, private equity is sitting on $2.49 trillion of cash.
Wow.
And venture capital globally is sitting on $580 trillion.
Wow.
So it's not because the capital isn't there. The capital is there. You just have to know where and how to get it. They want to make investments, but they have to see something that's really going to work for them. And but there's plenty of money to access. And you need to look at the world globally. I mean, that of all any media. I mean, you have to, that's the world we live in. I say marketing makes the world go round.
Yeah. 100%. Obviously, we're strong believers in that over on our side for sure, which actually leads us kind of into the next question. So I typically ask people about their social media journeys, but I think what would be more beneficial for our audience to hear is what kind of play does that have in gaining investment, right? Talk a little bit about the marketing side of, what do investors want to see? How important is it to have that good marketing plan and kind of within social media as well?
Well, it's the number one thing you have to have, and know where you're going to get it, what you're going to do, how you're going to do it. Because it's when I go back to saying what I do is commercialization of new technologies. If you don't commercialize it, which means get it into the marketplace, you aren't going to make a dime. I mean, no, you're not, and the investor's not.
Yeah.
So nothing is more important than your marketing and how you're going to get this in the marketplace. Now, obviously, the management sector and how you're going to manage the business is important too. But I'm going to go back to saying, if you can't profile your buyer, which is your marketplace, and you can't know the competition in your marketplace and how you're going to get into the marketplace, then you aren't going to get any funding, and you aren't in business. Unless you're selling something, services or something, you're not in business. That's what business is I have something I'm merchandising here.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to buy this. If so there isn't anything more critical. And we see whenever there's all the budget cuts, and times like now, if we have a recession or any recessionary period, one of the first things they'll do is cut marketing. We're going to cut the marketing dollars. That is not the thing to do. That is, I call it hold steady, is what I say, because you still have to reach the marketplace. If you cut those dollars completely, and then you're going to focus on everything else, but you're not reaching the buyer, you aren't going to have any money. I mean, somebody is paying for what you offer. So you have to, and going back to, like, I have a son in business. He's a manufacturer of surfboards, actually. He's in California.
Love it.
I mean, he's on everything, Instagram, YouTube's, videos, you name it, And now there are so many ways to market. You have to be thoughtful and careful about what you're doing, and certainly what you're saying.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, it is the way the world is functioning. And, the influencers of the world are absolutely using it all, doing it all. And they are influencing people.
Yeah.
There's evidence of that. So,
well, what's even crazy about that, Millicent, is they're actually, and I want to back up and hit something else you said, but since you brought that up, I mean, you look at people like Mr. Beast, right? Jimmy Donaldson, who started by being the influencer, right? And now has opened up all of the businesses on the backside. I mean, it's almost kind of reverse for what we're used to seeing, right? Like, if you look at the stories of like Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, right? And some of the older entrepreneurs that were out there, they had to start the business and then became kind of got that fame and kind of got the clout that kind of goes along with that, right? But today's generation is kind of working in reverse, where let me get everybody to like me first and know who I am, and then I'm going to use that platform to start the businesses, which is really, it's almost I mean, it's marketing in a sense, right? I mean, they're creating completely different content that's not relevant to any kind of business that they're doing, but people know them so well that when they start the business, that support rushes to the door, right?
Yeah, that's all they have to do is, but that's so-and-so, and he has all these following. So it just comes down to how many people are following him and or her.
Right.
And so you're absolutely right. I mean, there are so many businesses emerging these days, the last few years, off of that following. And look at cryptocurrency, look at all those things that are, all from following. And so, and the younger generations are captivated by that. I mean, absolutely. So if you have a product that is for a younger generation in any way, I mean, that's what you have to do. And you have to get people to follow you. I mean, that's number one. So it's all social media. I mean, we have really the world and it's the contact through the world that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely amazing. So there's no question. You brought up a very good point, is that you can work backward. You take something, and if I had something like I invented new keys on the calculator or whatever, and and I started doing a lot of YouTubes of it and showing everything about it and how to do it, and got people engaged in it and everything, I could start a business right off of that. The other thing that is happening is that they're going to investors and saying, look, I have 1 million followers, or I have 500,000 followers. And so investors are definitely paying attention. Now, they also have to be able to see how long can you sustain this? What are you going to do to sustain it? And but even if you took people on, let's say people watch that Shark Tank, and regardless of what my opinion is about how little money they put up for so much stock, then those people, it comes out every time. Well, how many people are following you? What is your following? How much of this have you sold through social media? And everyone there is the investors that are there. That's what they talk about is, well, I've done this and I own this and I have this and this is how we're building it. So it's the way to build your business and grow, even to the point of it's the way to get your business started. But again, I go back to, is it sustainable? And, so they still, to get major investment capital, you have to really be able to know, how are you going to sustain this? But there's no question that it is, we saw that even with COVID in healthcare and being able to access products and that sort of thing. It is all really turned to social media to be able to know where you can go, what you're going to do, how you can do it, how you can get service. It's turned entire industries upside down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I want to back up just a little bit. I love one of the things that you said earlier, talking about marketing during a recession, right? Which is obviously one of the big, you're absolutely right. It's always the first thing that gets cut. But it reminds me of a Henry Ford quote. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
No. I mean, I probably will if you say it.
As soon as I say it, yeah, you're going to know. Yeah. So he said a man that stops spending money to save money on advertising is like a man that stops a clock to save time. And that always stuck with me so hard.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so true. I mean, if you think about it, you can stop the clock, the hands on the clock, that time's going to keep going, right?
That's
And
right.
when you
Absolutely.
stop putting into your marketing and your advising, what happens is everybody else is still doing it, right? So you're actually losing.
Immediately. Yes. You're
Right.
going to lose positioning of where you are.
Right.
And that's the worst thing you can do. So you have to overcome it. I mean, that decision during a recessionary period, you have to find ways to overcome it, but or new marketing tactics. Let's go back to the point of social media now. Let's take a company that has been doing well. They make products. It's just that now that we're in a recession and consumers are not buying as many products. And we're seeing that overall, they're not buying it. And so we need to, how are you going to increase that? Well, you aren't going to increase it by cutting back on your marketing. You need to find another way, maybe another way to market. If you have a marketing firm, you need to be telling them, hey, how else should we be marketing? If you don't have a marketing firm helping you, you need to get one and ask them, how can I take where we are, but still get our product in the marketplace in a different way? Because they may not be using social media.
Absolutely.
Taking social media to small to medium-sized companies is something that is I'm not going to call it new, and before it's been so expensive. I mean, you don't see, if you look at television and the commercials that are on television, the only people really there are some local things or whatever, smaller things, but they're pretty much enormous companies, large companies, a lot of pharmaceutical, a lot of, who can afford it? It's just too expensive. And then you go back and take the guy, here sitting is saying, hey, on YouTube, let me show you how to repair your car. you know? And that guy's getting he's getting attention, So there are ways that companies can participate appropriately in social media. Now, yes, a lot of social media is kind of off off the charts, we'll call it. And you again, you have to know your buyer, your market,
Right.
who your buyer is. So a lot of that is not appropriate for a company that's manufacturing something that is not just a consumer product, but a necessity. But you still have to find ways to reach your customers, reach your buyers. Maybe you just do, email blitzes. Maybe you make up something. Maybe you do podcasts. Maybe you do webinars. One of the things people like to learn, actually, they like to learn about things. And so a company that maybe, like, let's take even my son's business, he's doing these little short video things of shaping his hand shaping surfboards. People just love it,
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
Oh, yeah.
this is interesting, Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
know you did it like that. So companies can do the same thing. They can do little videos. They can reach certain audiences, showing how this machine runs, how this works. People like that. They like knowing about things. And so, and they can be just short and simple and basic.
Yep.
The marketing firms need to be helping find ways to market products. And so, yes, going back to during the recessionary times and high inflation, high interest rates, all these things, don't stop marketing. Find a better way to do it.
I love it. I love it. And lean into it even harder, right? Because you're going to capture more of that share, right? So I love that you said stand fast, which is obviously, if that's all you can do, that's the bare minimum, right? Is
Yeah.
stay where you are, right? Keep doing what you're
Absolutely.
doing, and maybe
Yeah.
find some different ways to do it, right? But if you
Yeah.
can, lean a little bit more, because guess what? Everybody else is pulling out. So
Yeah.
that's really it's
Oh,
almost like playing the stock
yeah.
market, right? It's, hey,
Very
buy it
good
while it's
point.
low, right? Get more of
Yeah.
that market share while you can, right? And then when the recession's
Right.
done, you've got raving fans already that are money
Right.
in pocket, ready to buy
Yeah.
again, right? So
That's a
I love
very
it.
good point, that when everyone else is dropping out, that you move forward. Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. You capture some of their market because
Right.
they've been marketing.
Time to bounce. Absolutely.
It's just
Absolutely.
critical. I mean, that's why I say marketing makes the world go around, because without, we don't have anything. You're not aware of anything.
Right.
You're just not. You have to be out there and doing it. So it is essential. And now we have so many different ways of doing it that is really great.
I love it. Great points, Millicent. We're not paying her, by the way. Anybody that is thinking that she's on the payroll for saying all these fantastic things, she's not. She's
No.
she just knows what she's talking about. Okay, so but yeah, no, I love it. Definitely, and your agency should see that the recession coming, right? I mean, they should see it coming and be coming to you. Hey, maybe we need to do this. This is happening. Those kind of things. So, but if they're not, definitely get a hold of them. Hey, what can we do, right? Because they will have some ideas for sure. I love it, Millicent. Great points. Now, getting back kind of to you a little bit, I'm going to ask you, what's your defining moment, not only when it comes to your life, but with your career as well?
Well, I have to go back and say the defining moment really for me was when my husband died and I had these 3 little children and
Yeah.
I wasn't working.
How could it not be?
I
Yeah.
was a stay-at-home mom, and I didn't have I didn't finish college. So I didn't have anything. I mean, I didn't even have a college degree, much less a master's degree or a PhD. And so obviously that was the most defining moment. Then getting into business, like I said, fortunately I'm able to a quick learner, but I study, so I learned early on what makes success of businesses through this consulting work, and then I've just built on that and built on it and built on it. And I have to say, I'm my business development has all come from referrals, and so I'm very blessed with that, and things working like that for me. So, but that's really how I have built my career, is on referrals from people that I told you I got in business with the man that was a management consultant, but he left the city in a couple of years. And that left me with 3 or 4 clients that we had together that I now had. And so I made the best of that. Then from those, I was able to get more and more, clients. And here I am, I'm still doing it.
I love it. I love it.
So,
No, and I love that you bring that up about referrals too, because that's really, I mean, that's the best marketing that you can get, right? Is doing a good job, right?
yeah.
Providing a good service or a good product and getting that person to now be your advocate, right? And get out there and talk
Right,
about you. I mean, it's free, first of all, right? But it also
right.
just speaks to the quality, right? I mean, if you can kind of get that raving fan base that is actually telling their family, their friends, their coworkers about what you do, right? I mean, that's it doesn't get any better than that, and it's free, right? It's
No,
just do a good job.
yeah, and that's right. But it's been really great, and yes, it is the best way of marketing.
Yeah.
You can get, and a lot of it has come. Every project has lawyers and accountants involved. Because every company has a lawyer and accountant, and startup businesses. They'll go to a lawyer, and so I mean, a lot of my referrals have come from other professionals, attorneys, accountants, accounting firms, just because they've seen how much it's helped their client.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're seeing their their client grow financially or in business or whatever. So it's been a great, that's been really, like I said, I've been really blessed to have had that opportunity. But again, I'm very committed to my work and very committed to my clients, and very dedicated to making things happen the best I can. Things don't always work. And obviously, I've had a lot of deals where they fall apart in the end because it just comes right down to it. The investor just doesn't like the entrepreneur. And so I can't control the personalities or the behavior of clients. And so much of funding has to do with that. How their personalities and the way they are, their attitudes,
Yeah.
and the attitudes of the investors. None of those things, I can't control any of that.
Yeah.
So a lot of times deals will fail because of that. And but on the other hand, then you just, you go to somebody else where you do get that fit. That personality factor has to fit. It has to be there. People, that's why investors are sitting on so much money too, is they're looking for somebody that really knows their market, really knows the competition, that really knows themselves. Too many entrepreneurs go in with the idea that I can do all of this. Well, you can't. What I tell everyone is do what you do best. That's it. Build a team that does what they do best. And now you have something, because you just cannot, and it doesn't mean you have to hire them, but you have to be able, and in your plan, obviously, I think they know they're learning from the software or whatever, that at least put the job description of what they're looking for. Because a lot of the investment firms or venture capitalists, they have now built that up to where they have those resources. But the resources are there. And now we have this fractional people, which are, part-time, that they'll just come and do their piece. So much of business now goes together from this fractional perspective of building your team. You don't have to go hire a lot of people on the front end and give yourself and a couple of other guys huge salaries and burn through all the money, because, that's what they don't want. Investors see that kind of thing too. They see you're not prepared to manage this or to run this. You're not prepared to grow. And you have a personality that, you're either too egotistical or you're too this or too that,
Yeah.
So all of that plays into it. I mean, you have to be able to get a mindset about making it work and what it takes to do it. So it
I
takes
love it.
all those factors.
Yeah.
And finding, I guess I do want to say too, just the other one thing is, they need to really identify the venture capitalist or the private equity firms or lenders even that are in the sector that they're in, the industry sector that they're in.
Yeah.
The most important thing to do is look at their website and see who are their portfolio companies, who have they invested in, and then you take what you have and you tell them, hey, I can help you improve, I can help your portfolio company ABC improve because I have a platform, meaning a program of some kind, that will help them either manage better, more efficiently, more cost effectively, or a broader market. And so what you're doing, you're actually taking them something to add on to what they already have. That is the number one way I advise and what I do with my clients. That's the kind of research I do. All the things I'm sharing with you, I do that for them. You go back and say, okay, well, they come to you and then now what happens? Well, that's what happens. But it's expensive. They have to have the money, or I help them get the money to pay me.
It's nice when it can work out like that, huh?
I really don't want to do that. But nevertheless, they, but I can coach them into doing it themselves if they're
Yeah.
willing to do it. So, that's the other piece of it. And like, it is really, it's time consuming putting together all of this. I mean, I always say that a business plan, if you haven't put 100 hours into it, into developing your business plan, you're deficient, and you're probably not going to get funded. So, because it really does take tremendous. Now, that's on top of making the thing that you've already made.
Right.
And if you don't know how to do that, obviously, that's the people that come to me that say, hey, I'm an inventor or I'm an engineer. I know how to do this. I don't know how to do any of the rest of it. And so that's a cute little side note to that is I represented an athlete at one time, a couple of athletes actually, but anyone. So I said to him when he first came to me, I said, well, I mean, I love football and I watch football and everything, but I don't know a lot about the game. There's a lot of things I don't know. And he looked at me kind of funny and he said, I don't need you to know about football. I know about football.
Yeah, that's my field.
I need you to develop my clothing line and everything that I'm doing. I need you to run my business. I don't need you to know about football.
That's funny.
And it was kind of funny to me. It was like, okay, I've never forgotten that,
Yeah, you're right. I don't need to know about football.
That's what I mean. You do what
Yeah.
you do best and let somebody else do what they do best.
Right.
He made that
I love
very
it.
clear to me.
I love it, and just broke it down. Yeah, I know that's awesome. Well, obviously you've been a hero to so many companies out there, right? Obviously there's some investors that have probably been villainous over certain times or another, right? But what are the attributes you really feel define what a hero is, compared to a villain?
To me, I will tell you that I think whenever you say hero, the person that comes to my mind are nurses and EMT workers.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because every day they are helping someone else in some kind of situation without any kind of personal reward or benefit from that person they're helping. It's amazing to me the few times, thank goodness, I've been in the hospital and someone is helping me, or I've had a broken leg or whatever. It's that they don't even know me. I mean, they don't even know me. How can they be so willing to help me in the worst of my times when they don't even know me and I'm not paying them? I'm not, when you live in the financial sector like I do and have all these years, you're really not accustomed to people being nice to you, for or helping
Yeah.
you when you desperately need help without some kind of gain for
Right.
themselves. And that's sad to say about the financial sector, but it's just the truth.
Yeah.
So anyway, nurses and EMTs are certainly my heroes, and I think the heroes in many of our lives.
Yeah, that's selflessness and empathy, right? I mean, yeah, 100%. I mean, those are everyday heroes. What'd you say?
Compassion,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely, and the dedication. I mean, I can't say enough about just what it would take to do that, and the people that are doing it, and the kind of person you have to be. So anyway,
Yeah.
I think they're heroes. And the bad guys, the villains, to me, are people that have devious minds about taking advantage of other people.
Mm,
They're just the opposite. They are, oh, I see this person is in a very vulnerable situation, or I see something's happened to them, and so how can I take advantage of them?
yeah. Kind of that predatory thinking. Yeah. No, you're
Absolutely.
100% right. You're
Yeah.
100% right. And shout out to the nurses and the EMTs out there, man. That is not an easy job, and they definitely show up with a smile all the time. All the
Yes.
ones I've come across for the most part, anyways. So
Right.
absolutely huge, absolutely huge. All right, last question for you, Millicent. If you had to pick any superhero out there that best relates to Melicent Boysen, who would that be? And tell us a couple reasons why.
Oh gosh. Well, interesting. I suppose, the person that um, well, a person that had a lot of influence on me, but just for a very brief period of time, was my grandfather, who was really a brilliant man, but he had 12 patents, but never got any of them
Wow.
to market. But still, but I think more than anything, people that show a lot of kindness, are just so um, the real heroes. And you do see it, you really see it. Um, that and that overcome adversity, you know,
Yeah.
that's the people that are heroes to me. And I've had people in my life that have influenced me, that because I've seen them overcome extreme adversity and be just really good solid human beings and help other people. I believe in helping other people. I didn't have a really, I'm going to call it a good childhood, and I had to, um, I lived with a number of different families, and 5 different families. Was in 17 schools
Wow.
before I got to ninth grade,
Wow.
and so the people that helped me, the people that took me into, now I worked for my keep, I'll call it, you know, but they are the people that were the heroes to me, because I was just a child, you know. So, and they really, they gave me. I worked for a place to live, but I had it, because of it.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. How has that really transitioned you to be who you are, do you think?
Oh, I think the biggest part of it is being willing to help other people.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Yeah.
overstate all of that, but
Nobody wants to
again,
toot their own
it
horn.
came to me early on. I
Yeah.
didn't, and I've had situations where people took advantage of me. That's why I don't like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Devious minds,
Right.
but on the other hand, I do think that it's certainly made the commitment for me to my work and my clients, and helping my clients achieve. I'm very achievement oriented for myself and my clients, and my children, and all that. So um, yeah, I think I've lived a life where a lot of people have things maybe a little more nicer or more comfortable and great families. And I didn't have all that. And so, so you learn how to adapt, but you also learn the values. I think some real core values about humanity. And so that's just been, and everybody's somewhere doing something. So for me, it's all of that has been, again, just overcoming adversity.
I love it. I love it. Well, kudos to you for turning out to be a hero. Obviously, a lot of the villains have those kind of backstories of childhood wasn't great, right? And you've got that point where you make a choice, right? Am I going to go this way or am I going to go this way?
Right.
So I
Yeah.
thank you on behalf of myself, but also all of the thousands of companies that you've worked with throughout your career that you chose to go the hero route for sure. Melicent, you're amazing. Thank you for coming on the show. Thanks for giving us your time and really putting some valuable information out there for anybody to find. I truly appreciate it. How can people keep up with you? How can they get a hold of you if they've got a great idea that they need to get to market? How can they
I
get
have
with you?
2 websites. One of them is called Boysen and Associates, or actually it's Boysen Companies. There it is, boysencompanies.com. And my phone number's on there, and so is my email, of course. And my emails are all just in Boysen at Boysen Companies. And then Initiatives Worldwide, that's my other website. And then and that's a lot of the technology commercialization. But those websites will tell you everything about me too, and the scope of the work that we do and all that. And then I'm on LinkedIn, and there's kind of a summary caption there. So I appreciate that, and I want to say I consider it truly an honor to be asked and invited to be on your show, and I really, I'm just I really am honored to do it, and any way I can help people be more successful in no matter what they're doing. I want to encourage, if I don't do anything but just encourage people, I think that is so important and valuable.
I love it. I love it. Well, definitely connect with Melicent, whether you've got a great idea to take to market or not. She's an awesome person, obviously. I'm sure she'd love to talk with you. Everything is out there. So, Melicent, thank you again, man. You're incredible. I can't wait to see what you do from here on out.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm just going to hold steady and keep moving.
Hey, that's all we can do, right? It's the best advice.
Yeah,
one step at a time, one day at a time. Keep it moving.
Right. Keep moving forward.
I love it. Everybody out there, thanks for tuning in. Hope you have a great day.
Hey, are we still live? Hey guys, we're still live. Hey guys, this is Kevin Kwok, founder of J29 Creative Group. So who are we? We're a marketing agency here in Kansas City. We're all about a holistic approach to marketing that builds your brand and nurtures online community. But to be honest with you, you guys don't care.